Well, I wouldn't have believed it, but it's November and I just harvested a zucchini. Yeah. Wow. This is another one of those crazy Portland days where it was supposed to be super rainy all day long, and it was really rainy this morning, but by mid-morning the rain let up, the skies more or less cleared, and I've had several hours of good gardening time out here. So yeah, don't let the weather forecast of rain shoo you away, because often my experience is that even when there is rain, it stops and you can get out and do some things here and there, and then unexpectedly you have these big gaps of time that you can get some stuff done out here in the fall. So fall gardening means just kind of playing it by ear with the rain, and you can still do it in the rain, but the only thing is that today and this week the temperatures have been really cold. They're below 50 degrees, and so when it's rainy and wet and below 50, I don't particularly want to be out in hard rain when that's happening, but it's great to be out here today. Well, I am planting Muscari bulbs, and to do this, last spring, when the Muscari was basically the only thing coming out of the ground, I took pictures of where they were and where they weren't, and some measurements, and so I know kind of the area, the patch of a bed, because I have this one long bed that I want to plant Muscari. I want kind of to bloom with Muscari across the entire bed, and the middle section of it doesn't have Muscari in it yet, and so using those pictures, I know where to plant them now that it's fall, and that's what I'm going to do. Well, it seems like the nasturtiums really like this weather, and they're going strong in this bed behind me here, and that's exactly where I'm needing to plant my Muscari bulbs. So this will be a careful operation. Well, this bed behind me here where I want to put the Muscari bulbs, I thought I'd get to planting bulbs today, but actually as I got into this, I realized I got to do a lot of bed cleanup here. So I'm just weeding and pulling the dirt back away from the edges of the bed, redefining the borders of the bed, that kind of thing. I'm trying to get that set up. It feels like I need to kind of do that before I plant more bulbs in here. So yeah, more cleanup work than I anticipated, so that's what's going on. Well, I've been planting my Muscari bulbs back here, but man, is it muddy. I'm sure hoping these things don't just rot in the ground. I guess we'll see how this turns out.
I'm using this equipment behind me here to edge the beds. The goal is to, I'm just trying to see off and on when I have time how cool I can make the edge look. I don't think I've been super successful yet, so I wouldn't say my edges are that cool, but it's just kind of like a part-time hobby within the hobby. So this is the Ego edger. It's electric with battery. It's got a little wheel here and then the blade here that spins around and does the edger. This whole thing is actually a multi-function tool. So this part detaches here, and then I can put on these other attachments. Like I've got one that is a hedge trimmer that I can put on here. I like the Ego tools, so I'd say they work good. It's reasonable value, but they are on the spendy side, is what I was going to say is unfortunate. And I think you can get, I've seen several of these kind of battery operated edgers for less money at different brands, different places you can get them. I'm still debating whether I like using this edger versus just using the string trimmer. My string trimmer is not an Ego string trimmer. You might ask, if this is on the spendy side, why am I doing it if I don't know that I need to spend that money? It's because I started getting the Ego family of tools several years ago. I got a lawnmower that I really liked, the Ego lawnmower, and I had the battery. And if you looked at these kind of tools, probably the most expensive component is actually the batteries, right? So I've got several of these batteries, and I've slowly added to my Ego tool collection. But I would also say that I have lots of non-Ego tools, like the string trimmer that I have is not an Ego, when I say Ego, it is EGO is the brand. My string trimmer is not an Ego, so I haven't stuck universally. I've just kind of, where I could, bought Ego so that I could minimize the number of different kinds of batteries I'm charging. But the truth is I have this wall of batteries that I'm always charging for all the different kinds of battery operated tools out there. I do definitely prefer the battery operated tools over the gas powered tools, just because it's easier for me. I don't have to go get gas and mess around with the messiness of that. So anyway, let's you can see how this is operating here.
Well, I found the perfect place behind me here to plant the irises, so I'm gonna give that a go in here. Okay, well, behind us here, back over here, I have planted the 4 irises. And I was thinking about irises in the garden, and I'd never planted irises myself. My dad had irises in his garden, but it's not like he actually planted them. They were just there in the house that we purchased. My dad was big into growing vegetables, but he was the kind of guy that didn't want to grow things that he couldn't eat, generally speaking. He'd grow a few flowers for my mom at some point later in life, but for the most part, yeah, the irises in our garden, they were just there. And I remember I enjoyed them. I liked them. I thought the flowers were interesting, and I remember as a kid kind of examining them. But I have never actually planted irises in my own garden before. So I've got 4 bulbs, rhizomes. I think I've seen them called both things, but I've got 4 kind of the, they kind of look like bulbs, but I know irises it is a rhizome kind of thing, that I've planted with the stalks just kind of still coming out of the ground. I can't say that I know for sure what I'm doing. I just kind of did a Google search to kind of see best practices in planting these things, and we'll give it a shot and see if it comes up in the spring. It's purple irises, and I think it'll be an amazing background here in the stream area of the middle garden. And so, yeah, that's what's going on over here. Everybody, behind me, I'm working on cleaning out the greenhouse and kind of getting it set up for winter. So here's a preview of the winter greenhouse. Hey, before I'm planning to plant my snowdrops and my giant snowdrop looking flowers in this area back here, but before I do that, I've got these columbines here. They're looking a little bit rough anyway, and it's obscuring my view of where I would be planting the bulbs. And so I'm gonna go ahead and trim these back and see. I'm gonna take a gamble that if I trim the foliage back right now, that they'll still do well and they'll be coming back in the spring, or maybe they'll bring foliage before then. We'll see. Well, here's what I've been planting up this week. Snowdrop bulbs, giant snowdrop looking things, Muscari bulbs, and more potting up of pansies. Well, I wouldn't have believed it, but I just harvested a zucchini at the beginning here of November. And this is not in the greenhouse. This was just out in the garden beds. Kind of had a big rambling zucchini plant in one of the flower beds, actually. That was a volunteer this year that I just kind of let go, and I haven't taken it out yet. I've just let it do its thing, and I was walking past it and started feeling around like, hey, there's some fruit in there. So yeah, several of them.